Edson Alvarez on loan to Fenerbahçe is pretty much done. It's very, very close. In fact, it's so close that Edson Alvarez could be announced as a Fenerbahçe player as soon as today. All of this news is according to Fabrizio Romano. He broke the story yesterday. He's been providing the updates over the last 24 hours. And as we've discussed and established many times on this channel, when it comes to Edson Alvarez, Fabrizio Romano is very, very reliable. I don't know if he knows Alvarez, someone close to him, or his agency. I don't know where he gets his news from. But when it comes to anything to do with Edson Alvarez, whether it's a contract, whether it's an injury, winning player of the tournament with Mexico, or a transfer, or an exclusive photo of Alvarez's agent and Tim Steidten on a plane, Fabrizio Romano is the guy that gets all the information. So I 100% believe this story that Alvarez is likely to be joining Fenerbahçe on loan with an option to buy. Now, the details of the loan hasn't come out yet. So the loan fee, the percentage of wages that Fenerbahçe will be paying, the value of the option to buy, will the option turn into an obligation if certain criteria is met during his loan spell? None of that's come out. But if it does come out, I'm pretty sure we know where to find it, right? Anyway, we'll discuss it more when more details come out. But for now, I want to talk about this story in two parts. I want to discuss it in terms of the circumstances of Edson Alvarez at West Ham United today, and then also just Edson Alvarez plus the impact of this transfer, because there's something I do not want to see or hear at all off the back of this transfer, but there's also something I really want to see off the back of this transfer. It will all make sense by the end of the video, I promise you. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Hey, the percentage of subscribers is increasing. It's usually about 35% of you watching are not subscribed. But over the last 4 weeks on the channel, I had over 1,000 new subscribers, so a massive thank you. But also, 28% of you haven't subscribed. So it's going in the right direction. More subscribers are tuning in. But if you're part of that 28%, let's fix that today. Do subscribe. It's completely free. It takes 2 seconds. It helps out the video and helps out the channel a lot more than you think. But also, please keep liking the video as well. We're getting well over 1,000 likes on videos recently. I cannot stress, as a content creator, not just me, other content creators, well, I'm assuming they do as well. When you do click that thumbs up button, it gives us a bit of a boost. So massive thank you for your support. Right, Edson Alvarez under Potter. Edson Alvarez, and then what this could mean for West Ham and what it better mean for West Ham. So under Graham Potter, you always get the feeling they've never really got on, don't you? Even last season, it felt cagey between the two of them. He was never really in the team under Potter. When he was, he never felt he would stay in the team under Graham Potter. When he was on the bench, some games he wouldn't come on, even though, like, take Saturday at Sunderland as a prime example. 2-0 down after we'd conceded the second one, before we conceded the third one, clearly. At that point, though, it wasn't working. You might as well have just made subs for the sake of it, but he only made 3. And Alvarez was one of those that didn't even come onto the pitch. We didn't even see him in pre-season. So I think it's quite clear that he's not part of Graham Potter's plans. So losing Alvarez under Potter, I don't think is a big loss, because Potter clearly isn't going to play him. So I can understand that the club are looking at this situation with Alvarez under Graham Potter currently thinking, well, there's no point keeping him here, because he's worth north of 20 million. His wages, I'd imagine, are quite large. It does feel like a waste of money, but more sadly, it feels like a waste of talent as well. He's too good to be I say an unused sub, just a sub at West Ham. He's too good for that. But especially someone that's not even getting a sniff, because that's what he is at the minute. He's being treated, under Potter, he's being treated like he's a 19-year-old breaking into the first team. He's not, his minutes and opportunities are not reflecting the Mexican captain here, right? That's not really what we're seeing. So clearly, for whatever reason, Potter and Alvarez don't really see eye to eye. Potter clearly doesn't like Edson Alvarez. So I think it makes sense to get Alvarez out. At the end of the day, if he's not playing, we can't really miss him, right? So I understand why we're looking to move him on with Potter in charge. Now let's park the Potter thing and talk about the Alvarez on his own. I've been a fan of him. I was a fan of him before he came to West Ham, and I was quite excited when he did arrive at West Ham, because Chelsea tried to sign him about 6 months prior and failed. So when we got him, it felt like a bit of a coup. Maybe not as a bigger one as Mohamed Kudus, but when Alvarez come in, I was quite excited by him. The first season under Moyes, I thought he looked good. And then towards the end of Moyes' reign, it sort of tailed off a little bit. It wasn't as good. Under Lopetegui, it was just a disaster. And under Graham Potter, it's been a disaster. How much do I lay at the door of Edson Alvarez? I'm not sure. It's impossible to say, really. I think when a player's, not gone with two managers, that might say something. But when I look at the lack of success, if you like, under Lopetegui and Potter, and also Lopetegui was scrapping with half the squad. So I think that's a reflection on him rather than Edson Alvarez. So I'll be sad to see him go. I don't think we've seen the best of him. I feel like it's a real opportunity missed because he's a very talented player. And I just think with the right manager, there'd be a bloody good player there. I just don't think Potter's the right manager for them. Going to Fenerbahçe and Mourinho, you feel like that would be the right manager for him. You can see it working under Mourinho. You can see him smashing it in the Turkish league as well. I think this is a really good loan move for Edson Alvarez. I think it's a really good loan move for Fenerbahçe. Whether it's a really good loan move for West Ham, I'm a bit unsure, to be honest with you. Like I said, we've established, I understand why we're doing it. I just don't like the circumstances that's led to this, because it feels like he's one of our better players. In terms of transfer market value, he's one of the ones that are worth a little bit of money as well. If you're a club that's pleading poverty, to then loan out someone that could command a fee, that's 20 million at least. I don't think we'd get much more than 20 million, by the way, but you think a good selling club, as in a club that is good at selling players, you'd imagine they'd be able to get a good fee for them. We are not one of those, unfortunately. So I genuinely wish him all the best. I've got nothing against him. I hope he goes over to Fenerbahçe and I hope he smashes it. And I feel quite confident he will. I think it'll be with Aguerd when he left and he went to Real Sociedad and done well. Part of me wasn't that bothered. I was pleased for Aguerd and I was pleased for West Ham, but I was a bit like, well, I'm not really sure we would have seen that Aguerd at West Ham. I'm still not sure we will. We'll find out this season. With Edson Alvarez, if he goes there and smashes at Fenerbahçe, I think we could have had that West. I will think we could have had that version at West Ham, but not under Graham Potter and not under Lopetegui as well, because I feel like we've seen it under David Moyes. I thought he was good under David Moyes for the first, 3 quarters of his time at West Ham under Moyes. So it's a bit frustrating, really. It's a bit frustrating. I get it. I just don't like it. I don't like the sort of circumstance we found ourselves in. But now I want to talk about West Ham and the impact of this on West Ham. The board are really backing Potter in one way here. And I think this is dangerous by the board. I think they're backing Potter in terms of who do you not want, we'll get rid of him for you. You let us know which players is not part of your plans, we'll offload them. And I think that's where Alvarez comes in. And the board have said, that's fine, you don't want Alvarez, we'll get him out the door. And I think it's bold. If I was confident in Potter, I'd be comfortable with it, but I'm not, so I feel a little uneasy with it. But I get why the club are doing it. I think you've got to, if you're not going to have a director of football, if you're not going to have a strategy in terms of player recruitment, I think the next best thing to do, or the second worst thing to do, whatever way you want to look at it, is to back the manager. So I guess they're doing that on one hand, but I think it only works if you're doing it both ways. And this is my concern. This is where my concern lies. I feel like they're backing him in terms of who do you want to move out the squad. Let's try and get it done. Like Emerson, they're trying to move Emerson on as well. Which I discovered, by the way, he's the one that was late. I don't know. Everyone knew except me. I didn't know. When it came out saying that one player had already felt the wrath of Potter's timekeeping and whatever, I just assumed it was Alvarez. And everyone, like loads of people in the comments said, no, it's Emerson. So I've massively missed an update somewhere because I was unaware that it was Emerson. It made sense. I thought, oh, okay, he didn't go to America. That fits. But I feel like the board are saying, yeah, we'll get rid of Emerson. Yeah, we'll get rid of Alvarez. Anyone else you want rid of? Kudus? Yeah, we'll get rid of. I think that was more boards than Potter, or both of them, really. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're sort of suggesting, yeah, you can decide who you want rid of. So I feel like they're backing Potter in that sense. But if you're going to do that, you've got to back him in terms of the players you bring in as well. You can't just go halfway here. And I think they have with the goalkeeper and Diouf, Hermansen and Diouf. I've got no doubts that they were Potter/Ankrigan's picks. But I'm unconvinced Walker Peters is, for reasons we've discussed. And I'm very confident Wilson wasn't. I think this is where I get uneasy And I feel like it's a dangerous game the board are going to play. Because you're going to back him with the outs. You've got to back him with the ins as well. And you're going to say, oh yeah, it's going to be your squad, Potter. You can't let him get rid of some players, but then not bring in players to replace them. That's what makes me scared, actually. And that's what makes me really, really uneasy. So I feel like they're backing him halfway here. They've got to go the full way. And that leads me on to the next thing. And this comes off the back of stuff that senior source told websites, right? Now, you know my feelings on this type of thing. I don't like it. But I pay attention to it. And I think you can do that. You're allowed to do that. Because I think it's important, because you've got to listen to the messaging. Sometimes it's lies, sometimes it's spin, it's narrative, it's misleading. But other times it is information, it is an insight into their thinking, which can also be terrifying. But if we go back maybe 2-3 weeks, and this was reported by the lot of them, Hammers News, Clive Hugh, West Ham Way, Gonzo, Sean, X, Damien, Jacob Steinberg, all of them, all of those that take information, put it out there, speak to their sources or whatever. And this came out, and it was, we want a midfielder, maybe two, but someone's got to leave for us to get the second one. It was along those lines. You'll know what I'm referring to. You will have seen it. You can Google it and find it quickly. But it's basically, we want one midfielder. Ideally, we want two, but we can't get the second one unless someone leaves first. So here's what I don't want to see or hear in the next few days. I don't want to hear or see any backtracking on that. And I definitely do not want to hear them or claim, oh yeah, but we've only loaned Alvarez, therefore it doesn't count. I do not want to hear that. My head will spin if they basically suggest that we cannot class Alvarez as leaving because it's a loan and not a transfer fee. As if someone else has loaned him out and not them. What I do want to see now is them bringing two midfielders. You get in the midfielder you're going to get anyway, and now you go get one in to replace Edson Alvarez. Because it got put out there by Steinberg yesterday. West Ham are moving on Alvarez. It's not a great deal, but it frees up the wages. Which is fair. But I go back to what I said yesterday. We can see what's going on. We're not that stupid, fans, right? We're not that stupid. Fans, there's a lot of intelligent football fans out there, but even just, the average football fan has a very basic understanding of football. At worst, we know that Danny Ings was on over 100 grand a week. He's left. Carlos Soler would have been touching 100 grand a week. He's left. Ferguson would have been a comfortable tens of thousands of pounds. He's left. Creswell would have been, 70, 80. He's gone. Fabianski, similar. He's gone. Sufal was on about 20 quid a week. He's gone. Antonio was on 50, 60, 70 grand a week. He's half gone. I still think, by the way, I'm still predicting we sign Antonio. I'm not convinced he's not re-signing. I watched the game last night. He didn't look very good in it. But I would not be surprised if come September, Antonio's now a first-team player at West Ham United. But for those that don't know, he played for the 21s last night against Nottingham Forest. He didn't look great, to be honest with you. But anyway, going off at tangent. My point is, we've offloaded a lot of wages. Yes, of course, we've brought players in. But come on, I'm not having it at Juice. Not on much. He won't be on loads of money. Be one of the least paid players. He'll be similar to Guilherme. I don't know, guessing here, 30 grand a week or something, which will be, multiplying his wages from Czechia by 10 probably. Walker Peters has come in. He'll be on an average Premier League wage. Let's just give him Creswell's wage. Hermansen's come in. Let's just give him Fabianski's wage. Callum Wilson, well, you can't have it both ways here. You cannot leak and brag that Wilson's on a pay-as-you-play deal, right? And he's on such a low basic wage. And then what you can't then do, you can't have it like that and say, oh yeah, but we brought him in because he's so cheap. But then what you can't do, and they haven't done this, by the way, I'm just warning that they can't do this. Don't know who I'm warning, myself. I'm just telling you what's on in my head. What they can't then do is when discussing the new wage bill is say, oh yeah, but we've got Callum Wilson as well. Hang on a minute, you've told us this was a good deal because it's cheap. Let's keep it like that and basically say he's on par with Callum Marshall wage-wise, because that's what you've leaked. You've leaked that. Stand by it. My point is, we freed up a lot of wages already. Our wage bill, I feel quite confident, is significantly less than what it was when the season finished in May. So to free up wages of Edson Alvarez, okay, but you better be bringing in 2 midfielders because we need them. And that's, like I said, I still think we need more on top of that. But I'm trying to keep it position specific here. And that senior source ran around telling everyone, oh yeah, we'll bring in 1, we'll bring in 2 if we offload 1. This better be counting as offloading, because if not, then what's the point? Now, in terms of the deal itself, I'll wait for more details to come out. I just hope it's got a significant loan fee. 5 million maybe. The option to buy puts us in an awkward situation, doesn't it? Because we don't know if they're going to buy him or not. I just hope that if it is an option to buy, A, it's got a good fee attached to it, 20 million north, and B, there is something in there, there's a clause in there which turns it into an obligation, so that halfway through the season, if he's a success, we know they will be buying him permanently in the summer for 20 million or something like that. Tied in with the 5 gives us 25. That's a fair fee for me. But here's the thing. I know, I almost predict something, and that is that they'll basically suggest that they can't bring in another midfielder because we only loaned out Alvarez. And they'll also say, oh yeah, but because of the loan terms of Alvarez, we don't know if they're going to sign him or not. Therefore, we can't spend that transfer fee because we don't know if they're going to buy him. You're not allowed to have those excuses. You've chose to do this loan deal. You cannot then, use it as an excuse for not doing your own business. I won't have it. But in terms of this one, I'm in the middle. Actually, I've got a lot of positives and a lot of negatives about it, which is sort of balancing me out. I understand why we're doing it, but here's the thing. The board better be confident Potter's going to deliver. Because if I was in that boardroom now, I'd be raising my hand with a question and saying, excuse me, how confident are we Potter's going to be here in October, November? Because if the answer isn't 100%, if the answer, 50-50, then we need to be having a conversation that should we not keep Alvarez then, so that if we do have to sack Potter and bring in someone else, even Sean Dyche, because if we're sacking Potter, we're in the bottom 3 here, even if we bring in Dyche or Cooper, would they not want Edson Alvarez in the team? Probably. Well, should we not keep him just in case? Could we not reevaluate in January? Don't know. Obviously, we could have a recall clause in there for January. I feel like that's incredibly unlikely because if we put an option to buy in there, I'd imagine the club taking him and saying, no, you can't just take him back in January. We're bringing him in because he's going to be a key part of our plans, and also with a significant loan fee as well. So I think once he's gone on loan, I'll be surprised if we can get him back in January. But like I said, the board better make sure that they are confident in Potter's ability to, I always say turn around, it's been 1 game, deliver. And if the answer is no, there has to be a conversation around, then do we want to really go 100% all in on Potter in terms of the outgoings as well as the incomings, because there's a possibility come the end of the season Potter won't be the manager. I hope he is, because if he is, that means we've gone on to have a half decent season, right? But I think they have to be realistic, and I hope that conversation takes place just in case. They need to be sure of what they're doing here, because every decision they make, I mean all window, but especially in this final 2 weeks of the window, will really will have a big impact on our season ahead. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm waiting for more details to come out, really. Just delivering the news, giving my early thoughts on it. Like I said, lots of positives and negatives on this one. But let me know what you think. Don't be shy, get involved in the comments below. But hopefully by now you've already dropped a like on the video. But if not, please do. Subscribe if you're new to Hammers Chat. I'll catch up with you in a bit.